You know, whenever U.S. warships show up on the horizon, you can bet it's not just for a friendly visit. And right now, all eyes are on the Caribbean, with a laser focus on Haiti. So today, we're going to dig into the story behind this major military deployment and figure out what's really going on. It's a pretty stark picture, isn't it? You've got 3 U.S. military vessels, and one of them is a full-blown guided missile destroyer sitting right there in the Bay of Port-au-Prince. And they've shown up at the exact moment that Haiti is, well, teetering on the brink of complete and total collapse. So the official line is that this is all about regional security, fighting drug traffickers. But the timing, the location, and the kind of military firepower they brought along, it all raises a much bigger question. So that's what we're here to do, unpack all the layers behind this story. All right, here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll talk about the ships actually arriving. Then we'll get into the official story, this Operation Southern Spear. After that, we need to understand the absolute chaos happening in Haiti right now, because that's the backdrop for everything. We'll also see how a certain very close neighbor's feeling about all this, and finally, we'll zoom way out to look at the big geopolitical power play happening in the Caribbean.
Okay, first things first, let's just get the basic facts straight. What exactly just sailed into the waters of Haiti's capital?
So take a look at this. This is what's really interesting. You've got a couple of Coast Guard cutters, which makes sense, right? That's kind of their bread and butter. Security patrols, stopping smugglers. But then, boom, the USS Stockdale. That's a guided missile destroyer. This isn't your standard patrol boat. This is a serious piece of military hardware with some major firepower. That alone tells you this is anything but a routine visit. All right, so what's the official story? Every military move has a public reason, a rationale, and this one's no different. The whole thing is being run under a mission called Operation Southern Spear. And according to the Pentagon, this is all about stopping drug trafficking from Latin America up to the U.S. And get this, they're not just calling them criminals. The official term is narco-terrorists. That language, well, it really ramps up the threat level and makes a military response seem totally justified. And here's the diplomatic spin on it. This is straight from the U.S. Embassy in Haiti. See how they frame it? It's not about force, it's about commitment, security, and stability. It's all about painting this picture of the U.S. helping a neighbor that's in deep, deep trouble.
And don't think for a second that Operation Southern Spear is just some fancy name on a piece of paper. This is a very real, very active operation. In fact, according to official numbers out of D.C., over 100 suspected criminals have died in clashes at sea since this whole thing started. So yeah, this mission definitely has teeth.
But that brings up a huge question. Why now? To get that, you really have to understand what's happening on the ground in Haiti. Believe me, the timing of these ships arriving is no accident. This timeline, wow, it really lays out just how bad things are. Think about it. Haiti hasn't had a real, proper general election in 10 years. The government they have right now, it's a temporary council that was just meant to be a patch. And its authority officially runs out, like, in a matter of days. And there's no plan for what happens next. The country is basically staring into a political black hole. And on the streets, the reality is just terrifying. We're not just talking about political problems here. This is a full-on state collapse. Armed gangs control huge parts of the country. They're the ones in charge, spreading violence, murder, kidnappings, you name it. The actual government is so weak that the U.S. is putting visa restrictions on some of its officials, accusing them of being tied to the gangs. And sure, there's talk of elections, but honestly, how can you even hold an election in the middle of all this chaos? Okay, but this whole situation isn't just about Haiti. There's a much bigger regional picture we have to look at. The ships might be parked in Haiti's bay, but their shadow stretches a lot further. So officially, the mission is laser-focused on Haiti, right? Stability, security, stopping drug smugglers. That's the public line. But if you just pull up a map, you start to see there's another piece to this puzzle. And in geopolitics, geography is everything. 80 kilometers. That's it. That's the distance from where these warships are to the eastern tip of Cuba. We're talking about 50 miles. For a warship like the USS Stockdale, that's practically spitting distance. And you can be absolutely sure that people in Havana have noticed. And this is where you see two completely different ways of looking at this. For the United States, it's a necessary security mission. Simple as that. But if you're Cuba and you see a powerful American warship parked just off your coast, well, that's going to look very different. It brings back all those old, tense feelings about American military power in their backyard.
All right, now let's pull the camera all the way back. Let's look at the big picture. Because maybe this whole deployment isn't just about Haiti, and maybe it's not even just about Cuba. What if it's a sign of a much bigger strategic game being played?
See, when you start connecting the dots, a bigger picture starts to form. You've got military assets being placed in key areas. You have political moves, like the U.S. indicting the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, on drug charges. It all starts to look like a coordinated strategy to reestablish a stronger grip on the region, controlling everything from migration to trade routes.
And really, that's the bottom line here. The absolute tragedy unfolding in Haiti is almost like the trigger. This isn't just a story about one country in crisis. It's a sign that the Caribbean is heating up again, becoming this major stage for diplomatic, military, and economic tension. It's like the whole region is turning back into a geopolitical chessboard. So that leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? Is this just a stability operation, a genuine effort to help a neighbor in crisis, or is it a cold, calculated chess move in a much bigger game for regional power? And maybe, just maybe, the real answer is that it's both.